Friday. This is my Friday craft. I'm just posting this because I said I was gonna start posting videos with my Friday craft. So um, I have, I came across my grandmother's um, brooch, and it has a little clasp in the back. So you could hang it or pin it, and it says made from Italy. But this is, I was just, this was my, her cameo that I was given. And I just thought it was so great. Then, of course, IOD came out with this mold that has cameos in it. And I just thought, hello, like, it was obvious. So I got so much to cover, so I'm just gonna kind of quickly go through. If you want, if you have questions or whatever, put them down in the comments and I will try to answer them. But so these were some of the pieces that I made. I made this necklace, and I'm just gonna go through and show you a couple of different things and actually how I got there. So it's not really hard. It's just probably, really, it's just about having some of like the right things to make it easier. And a lot of the stuff, more than likely you have on hand if you're, you know, a crafter of some sorts. But also too, like these, some of the things that are actually used for other things that are not intended for this use, but I don't really care. So I just use what I have and I test things out and I see how it works. You know, and that everybody knows, part of crafting is just really about testing what you have and seeing if it works, because a lot of times things will work that you don't even suspect. These are some of the little necklaces I made. I made a couple of barrettes. This one. But I'm just going to kind of show you how I got there. And then, you know, be creative as you want to be. Just, you know, do what you need to do. So I'm going to show you the things that I made individually and then show you what I used there. So, a lot of you already have the IOD molds. I'm going to zoom out just a smidge. A lot of you already have these IOD molds. The great thing about these molds is that you can use pretty much anything in them. You can even bake in them. You can use fondant in them for decoration, chocolate, whatever. If that is your passion, if that is your area of craft. I have used these molds for resin. I've used these molds to do like faux carving looking on my cabinets. And I just use this paper clay. I'm not saying this is the best. I'm just telling you this is what I used. And this is what happens with that. But the paper clay is good for some things, and then, you know, sometimes it just depends on what you're working with or what you're working on to what you are actually going to be using. So I decide at that point, depending on what my project is, and then use, you know, decide on the best medium. So, but I just wanted to show you what else you could use in these molds. They're limitless. I think you can actually bake in them as well. They're have like a high heat. So this is the frames. I just got this frame just to show you. Look at, I mean, Oh my God, that's amazing. This little one here, I used this one. So just to show you, I made some cameos last night, and I colored them in. So I've tried a couple of different things, and I just like, you know, obviously the best way to get there, right? The easiest way, fastest way with the best look possible. But there are so many different looks that you know, just depending on what you want and what you use. But these are some of the cameos that I made last night. So there's so much. So the first thing I'm going to say to you is, if you're using these molds, you want to use something that is a two-part mix. So you can use this one. I had a myriad of different things. I've used this one. So the reasoning behind that is because you want to make sure that there is a different kind of resin that you can use in like a lamp and like freeze it right on the spot. This UV resin, okay? You don't want to use this in these molds, because these, this actually is hardened by light. So that light needs to get through to all, you know, through to harden the layers. So that resin is actually used more for the clear molds, and they sell these at Michael's. You know, they have the little barrettes, what I use for that. And then, you know, so because these are clear, the light can get through there, and it's going to harden all the way through. So these are what I would recommend for this. You can also use this if you've already molded here, but say you want to coat the top of it, because you're just coating the top of it. You're not having to harden the whole thing. So, and ask me how I know, because I've lost a couple of pieces thinking I can do it, you know, fast and not have to wait. But don't do that, because you will never get that harden, you know, underneath there. So the top will harden, the back will harden, you know, but once you lift it, all of this underneath will be mushy and not nice. So just remember that if you think you know you're going to be able to get it quickly within, you know, a minute and a half by using this, you're not going to get that if you're using a dark mold, which the light cannot get through. So luckily they do have this amazing cast resin that actually cures in 10 minutes. So if you're wanting to like rush it along and get your project going, then, you know, use something like this. The thing with this though is that it turns white, so just keep that in mind, because they do actually have other resin that will dry clear or have a lighter tinge to it, which I had a resin that had like this orangey tinge to it. This one actually didn't dry like that. This one is a clear resin, but so, you know, also look for that too. You want to make sure that whatever resin you're using, some resins have like an aftershade, you know, a shade in there that's like that you're going to get a little bit of a coloration. I use that on this, this is the same resin, but I didn't mind it because this actually had, you know, a little coloration on the back, and so I just thought that that would work out. Now, can you mix some resins together? This actually is, if you look at it closely, there's some black and then there's some of the clear there. So I ran out of resin and then I mixed more of a different kind and I poured it in there just to see. And it did harden. So that's a trial and error thing that you would have to see. So, you know, I would think for the most part that, you know, some of them, they have pretty much the same stuff in there. But, I mean, that you just need to try it. So, that's what you need to keep in mind for that. So you can use any kind of molds that, I mean, if you're not looking to spend a lot of money on molds, you don't necessarily have to. I actually have molds from all kinds of walks of life. I have old like soap molds. I have old like these little jewelry molds that they make specifically for that. These are actually like candy molds. I've used candy. I've used fondant molds. I've used all kinds of different, if it's a mold, you can use it. The thing is, you just want to remember that if they're clear, you can use the UV through there if you're using it to make your foundation. If it's not, you want a two-part. If like this is solid, you want a two-part so that that way it cures from the hardener and not from a light. Okay. So now you see that these are black. And the thing that I found is because a lot of times I'm lazy and I like, you know what I like, I want it now. So, and I, you know, the thing, a lot of the big thing is this flat black is, I'm blown away by the way that this looks. So, a lot of times I would color with certain things and I wouldn't get a really consistent color, but I just have gotten familiar with this high flow acrylics. It's called golden high flow acrylics, and these are actually pigments. I want to say it's more for like it's more for like maybe airbrush. They're really like watery, like they have a real watery consistent, but they're very pigmented. And then if you shake it, there's like a little ball in there, so it has a lot of that pigment. So I would say make sure that you shake them until you get you get that ball going and you can hear it. But these are so awesome. You can mix up whatever amount you want, pour a couple of drops until you get that. You don't need a lot. Seriously, you don't need a lot of this, and you are going to get phenomenal color like this. You know what I mean? I mix some, like this is white, the white one, but actually I didn't put a whole lot in there because at this point I was just kind of testing to see. So they offer this in a lot of colors. I would recommend this over anything out there that I've tried, and I've tried a lot. I've tried acrylic, I've tried some of even the other things that they offer specifically for resin. But this right here is gold to me. You can do so many things with this. You can even, if you want it, I've even used this to actually color this. So it actually works on this, and it actually will work on the two-part resin. I've used it on both. And it's phenomenal. Now, that being said, let me re-emphasize that if you're using this, you don't want to pigment too much because you, like I said, you need that light to get through. You need the light to get through there. That is the way that it hardens, is the UV light or LED light. So these are usable, but you want to make sure that it's, you know, that you're able to get it through there. Okay, the light, that's optimum. So you guys, these are not like super cheap, but they're gonna last you a long time. They have a really wide variety of color range. You can mix them to make your own color, and they're going to last you a really long time. So they're worth the money. I feel they're worth the money, and you're going to get your money's worth out of them because they're going to go a long way. Okay. Now, some of the other things that I've used, and I will say again, a lot of the things that I try are not, you know, necessarily for that. But I mean, if you look at a lot of things, they're the same kind of thing. So why not use them? So I am a nail technician. And so I have a lot of gel nail polish around, like a lot. So how am I going to use all that? Because obviously you see, I don't paint my nails anymore. So, and I don't do nails anymore. So literally I have hundreds of bottles of gel nail polish around. Okay. So you can use this, because you cure this by a UV or LED light. It's the same thing. So use what you have. And they offer a lot of these now that are not so expensive, you know, where a lot of them are like, you know, $30 or $20 a bottle or whatever, some of the high end, but they also offer some of these that are like $8 a bottle. And this is just basically the same thing. It's the same thing. So you can use this if you wanted to say something like this, if you wanted to coat this and, you know, color it in or color, you know, make little things like that. So, I mean, that's basically the same thing. So I actually use this matte top coat. I use this matte top coat on this. I used it to coat it, the background, to kind of make that background. So you can use different things. This is, you know, I mean, this is cured by LED. There's some that's UV, but pretty much if it cures in LED, it'll cure in UV and vice versa. So, but the gel nail polish, it will work. I have used it. I've used it on many projects. And so if you have some of these laying around and you tried them and, you know, you're not necessarily like this, I'm not using these anymore, go ahead, use them. If you have clear gel nail polish, like a base coat or a top coat, and they're clear, use those. You can color them. Why not? They're there. Okay. Also too, I've used for these, like these are actual dried flowers in there. These are actual, this is actual shells. So one of the other things that like along here and like this and this border, and I've used it here on this frame. My newest thing, and I use it for everything now, is, what did I do with it? This gilding wax I've used on everything that is nailed down, and even some stuff that's not. It's so nice. It's like a paste, but like it goes a long way. I actually just use, like, let me show you. I just use like a little brush like this, and I get it and I just wipe it on. And this brush is a little hard, but it's usually softer. It'll wash out. So I just use this to go around the edges. I like the little bird I've done. All of these little, this whole thing, these little things were actually done with the gilding wax. And I love it. You could put it on anything, on wood, on, you know, it sticks to everything. And the great thing is like when you rub it and varnish it, or I don't know that word, varnish it, it will actually become like brighter and smoother and just kind of shine up for you and look really good. So I recommend this, especially when you're dealing with little pieces like this, and it just sticks to the resin very well. I don't, like I said, I've used it like there. I've used it. This is what I did with this. I use it here. So this is another thing that I would recommend. Another thing that I will say is I used to have, so the heat gun is really good because it will actually pop the bubbles that you have that will come to the surface and stuff. This, if you look at this, you can see like little, I don't know, you can see like little bubbles there that have popped. I don't mind this so much because it almost looks like little tiny pearls to me in there. And a lot of times, like you can see it right there. A lot of times when you're coating it with other things, it'll fill those holes. But you want to get the most out that you can get out. So a lot of times, you know, just like shaking it, or, you know, like when you have it down and just kind of shaking it through like this will bring those bubbles to the surface. But the heat gun is really good. So when they start coming to the surface, put it on low and heat it. Be careful, move it around because this gets really, really hot. And so, but it's a great tool to get those bubbles that are coming out to pop really quickly. And actually what I do is while I'm stirring it, I will heat it a little to get those bubbles to come out to the surface so I don't have so much. Another thing you can do if you're not using the fast casting, the 10-minute one, if you're using one that takes a lot longer to harden, you can actually leave it for, you know, 3 to 5 minutes and a lot of those bubbles will come to the top, and then use your heat gun to get the rest out. But one thing that I was using at first, like a embossing gun, here's the problem with that. It heats. Yes, it's great. And yes, it'll work in a pinch. But the fact that it blows air will sometimes cause a problem because it'll blow that resin right out of your mold and all over the place. So if you're going to use that, make sure that you're using it up high and that you're not using it too close to the thing, or it will blow that resin around and blow it out. Ask me how I know, okay? Because I've made a lot of messes that way, but that's all I had. I thought it was fine and that it would be well, but actually ever since I got this, it's a game changer. So like I said, the right tools makes everything so much better. So another thing that you can use, I don't necessarily use paint to color my resin, but I do use paint if I'm coloring the top of my resin. Like if I'm already painting and I want something, you know, afterwards. So this is a perfect example. First I colored it like this, and I wanted more of a creamy type and to kind of be a little bit more solid like this here. And so I tried out some paint. So I used chalk paint. I've used acrylic paint to do that. So you can use anything to do that. The only thing that I will recommend for if you're gonna use paint, and with anything, if you're painting on top of anything, the one thing I will recommend is to just make sure that you are using thin coats. So if you're using paint, add a little water to it and paint it in thin layers, just like you would, you know, when you're painting your nails. You want it in thin thin layers to make sure that it's drying in between there and that you're not losing a lot of that definition there, okay? This one is actually painted as well. I painted the background. It had a background like this, but I wanted something a little different, and so I just painted the background in kind of like just a like a peach color, and it's kind of like marbly looking, and then I went over with the same paint there on top to bring out the flowers. So that's another option that you can do, okay?